I'm Aditya Vishwas, and today in this session, there are few blocks of embedded developments. The first block is basic electronics and digital electronics and analog electronics, and then there is software part, coding part, and much higher, like different types of topics. So today's session, we will cover signals and signal conditioning. Basically, ये जो block है, the signal conditioning block is one of the prime and most important part in an embedded development system. Because there are various different kind of embedded systems. बहुत अलग-अलग type के embedded systems available हैं. अगर हम industry की बात करें, there are 24 volt systems which work on 24 volt DC or 4 to 20 milliampere current settings. अगर हम हॉबी लेवल पे बात करें, there are systems which work on 5 volt DC, then there are 3.3 volt DC systems. So overall there is no specific criteria कि any kind of embedded system should be in between a specific range. The most common range which we right now know is from around 3.3 volt to 24 volt, but still there are some hardwares which work on 48 volts. So this variation in voltage can cause a lot of damage. ये हमारे embedded system को खराब कर सकता है while we are working. So the most important thing is a level conversion or a signal conditioning system. The basic definition is कि हम एक level of signal को दूसरे अलग level of signal में translate कर सकें ताकि हमारे दोनों system आपस में intercommunicate कर सकें, आपस में पूछ सकें. They can intercommunicate and they can process their data. So I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes.
Okay. So in this content, today's my content is basically different kind of amplifiers and filters. So most common filters जो embedded systems में use होते हैं most commonly are amplifier based, operational amplifier based, because these are the smallest building block of embedded or electronic systems. Not necessary कि amplifiers are always operational amplifiers. ये हमेशा operational amplifiers होना ही जरूरी नहीं होता. Sometimes a transistors can also be act as an operational amplifier. Then there are also some very low cost and very efficient circuitries जिसमें ना ही हमें ट्रांजिस्टर चाहिए ना ही हमें एक op amp चाहिए. We don't need any op amp, we don't need any transistor to work on. So those kind of systems वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ those are based on resistance and capacitance and inductance. So simple resistor, capacitor, diode, basic components, passive components can be also used to make some kind of signal conditioning blocks. So in today's session, we are going to study about different kind of amplifiers like current, power, instrumentational, then inverting, non-inverting, and differential amplifiers. After then, we will also discuss about different kind of filters like low pass filter and high pass filter. Then some current to voltage converter, voltage to current converter, and some frequency to voltage and voltage to frequency converters. I know this is a lot of theory here, but I will try to show you as much practical as much possible live on a simulation software along with the presentation. So I will just quickly cover some topics which are important topics in our presentations. So first of all, the most common definition of signal conditioning is a basic component for all measurement device so that they can intercommunicate. So there are many different kind of signals. That can be linear signal, it can be non-linear signal, it can be very high voltage signal or high amplitude signal, it can be a sine wave, it can be a triangular wave, any kind of wave. As there are numerous type of sensors available in the market right now, so whenever you are working with an embedded system, you will use very different kind of sensors. आप बहुत ही अलग-अलग type of sensors से deal करेंगे. So not necessary कि सभी sensors का output हमेशा same हो. कुछ sensors voltage में output करते हैं. They can provide 0 to 5 volt linear voltage depending on the sensor output or input. Then there are some sensors which can be non-linear, like वो 0 to 3.3 तक अलग voltage का अलग output देते हैं. Then 3.3 to 5 volt they have non-linear characteristics. So overall, there are very different kind of sensors available, and some sensors are like those sensors which doesn't even give output in electrical signals. So we need a transducer in between to convert those non-electrical signals or non-electrical output into electrical signals. So overall, a transducer, a sensor, all this when we merge together, we get a simple signal conditioning system in which a sensor detect a physical parameter of our environment. It can be air pressure, टेम्परेचर, कुछ भी कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हमारे एनवायरनमेंट की या आसपास के सराउंडिंग की वो सेंसर समहाउ रीड करता है. उसके कारण there is some kind of variation which can be converted into electrical form, or that variation is directly converted into electrical form. Like if we talk about a simple thermocouple or RTD. RTD is a simple resistance based thermocouple device. So what happens जब उसका टेम्परेचर, सराउंडिंग का टेम्परेचर RTD का चेंज होता है, so it causes the resistance in the RTD to change. So the RTD का जो resistance है, it will start to change depending on the temperature of the shell of that RTD. So if the temperature rises, the resistance of RTD get lower. But if the temperature get lower, then the resistance of RTD increases. So कैलकुलेटिंग द रेजिस्टेंस इज इजियर विद द यूज ऑफ मल्टीमीटर. मल्टीमीटर से हम इजीली डिटेक्ट कर सकते हैं, उसकी डेटा शीट को रीड करके आउटपुट कर सकते हैं. बट व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट अ माइक्रो कंट्रोलर और एन एम्बेडेड सिस्टम, इवन रेस्पबेरी पाई हो, ऑर्डिनो हो, कोई सा भी सिस्टम हो, देयर इज नो डायरेक्ट प्रोविजन अवेलेबल कि आप रेजिस्टेंस कैलकुलेट कर सके. देयर इज नो डायरेक्ट मेथड टू कैलकुलेट द रेजिस्टेंस. यू हैव टू मेक अ सिंपल सर्किट टू कन्वर्ट दैट रेजिस्टेंस इनटू voltage. So signal, like here I have example of thermocouple. In the thermocouple sensor, there is a varying voltage output. So जब thermocouple में एक temperature का variation आता है, जब उसमें temperature आता है, so there are two terminals in the thermocouple, as you can see over here. This two terminal causes a change in voltage. It generates some voltage along these 2 points. But the point is, this 2 points of thermocouple has a very small amount of voltage generated. It's in millivolt or microvolt. So we need some kind of signal conditioning to boost the voltage up to a certain level so that we can read. अगर उस लेवल को नहीं पहुंच पाए, क्योंकि हमारा ऑर्डिनो 5 वोल्ट पे वर्क करता है, अगर हम 0 to 5 वोल्ट की रेंज में उस सिग्नल को नहीं ला पाएंगे तो हम एफिशिएंटली ऑर्डिनो से रीड नहीं कर पाएंगे और हमें बहुत नॉइज मिलेगा, जिसके कारण वी वोंट बी एबल टू गेट करेक्ट मेजरमेंट्स. So there are this simple types of signal conditioning blocks. The most commonly used are inverting, non-inverting amplifiers to boost the signals. Then we have differential amplifier to maximize the signal and reduce noise. Then we have instrumentation amplifier, power amps, and more other different kind of amplifiers. Similarly, there some industrial standards suggest that we should use current for sensors. So अगर आप industry की बात करेंगे तो देयर इज अ क्राइटेरिया कि आप इंडस्ट्री पे जब भी कोई सेंसर की बात कर रहे हैं तो इट शुड बी अराउंड 4 to 20 मिली एम्पियर आउटपुट सेंसर. सो आउटपुट ऑफ अ करंट दैट इज 4 मिली एम्पियर फॉर 0 whatever sensor is reading, and 20 milliampere is the maximum of the value that sensor is reading. So हमें current को convert करना पड़ेगा voltage में. So that is why there are different kind of converters also available, like current to voltage converter, voltage to current converter, frequency to voltage, and voltage to frequency converter. Then the last is high pass and low pass filter. Whenever we are talking about signal conditioning systems, the most prime factor which affect in signal conditioning system is noise. जब भी हम एक सिग्नल कंडीशनिंग की बात करते हैं, सबसे बेकार चीज जो उसमें कॉज हो सकती है वो है नॉइज. सो रिडक्शन ऑफ नॉइज कैन बी यूज्ड यूजिंग फिल्टर्स. So there are two most commonly used filters, that is high pass filter for high passing only high signals, and there are low pass filter. These filters are used to simplify noise. Now the first system, as I was talking about, that we don't need any kind of operational amplifier transistor to work a simple system. So the most simplest form of signal conditioning system is a resistance divider network, as you can see over here. Let me just explain you, like there is a sensor called light dependent resistance, which is short form as LDR. So whenever some light falls on the sensor, the resistance of the sensor starts to change. The more the light fall on the sensor, the lower is the resistance, and the darker is the surrounding of the sensor, the higher is the resistance. And the resistance is around in kilo ohms or mega ohms when there is dark, and when there is light, it can be around in some kilo ohms or in simple ohms. So to better understand this, let me show you a simple practical. We can go for a simplest form of practical. Now here I have a simulation software in which what we can use two different kind of resistance. As I was explaining, when we connect this two resistance in series, and the one end to the ground and another end to a voltage supply, for say let me add a 5 volt supply. like this. I have added this voltage source. I'm changing the voltage to around let's say 5 volts. Now I have two 1 kilo ohm 1 kilo ohm resistance. Now if I simulate this circuit, you will find that at the center of the both the resistance, we are getting around a voltage of 2.5 volt. I hope everyone is able to see the circuit and its output. It's a bar graph generated over above the circuit. So what happens when I change any of this resistance? It's simple Kirchhoff's law and simple basic electronics. If I change any of the system, you can see the voltage is changing depending on the resistance I have changed. So if I set it to 10k, like I have set the voltage to 10k, you can see the voltage has dropped to around 500 millivolts, 455 millivolts to be precise. So it is correct as per our basic electronics. So what happens? Let's say the yellow highlighted resistance is our LDR circuit, and this purple highlighted colored voltage is our output voltage. So as we know, LDR works on changing in resistance. So when there is dark, there is no light. जब उस पर कोई भी light ना गिर रही हो, so its resistance in mega ohms. Let's say around 1 mega ohm. So as you can see, our voltage is very close to 0 volt. You can see at the above that our voltage is reached to 0 volt. It's around 5 millivolts. So 5 millivolts बहुत कम होता है compared to 5 volts. So we can say that the voltage has reached to 0 volt. So when we will be using our Arduino or microcontroller to read the signal, we will be reading 5 millivolts. When there is dark, there is no light on the LDR. So we will be reading 0 volts. But let's say कि, there is some light on the LDR. So depending on the light, let me just show you how an LDR look like before going into deep. This is a simple LDR. So as you can see, there are some spiral based path in between the LiDAR. So these are both photoelectric materials. So when light fall on this, they share electrons, and due to the sharing of electrons, their resistance vary. These are linear devices. So the brighter the light, the lower the resistance, the darker the area, the higher the resistance. So again, back to the basic. Let's say this is our LiDAR. Now if I introduce some light on this LDR and the resistance starts to decrease, as you can see, the lower the resistance, the higher is the voltage. So it may be possible that after some very bright light, if you introduce some very bright light, the resistance of LDR can go below 500 ohms. So मैं 500 ohms के नीचे ले जाता हूँ क्योंकि after 500 ohms is let's say 400 ohms. So you can see that in place of 5 millivolts, now the part has 3.57 volt of signal, 57 volt of voltage. So now this voltage can be our Arduino can read this voltage, and we can say that this is our 100%. So using this 5 millivolts and 3.757 millivolt reference, we can study how the signal is varying, how the light is changing and causing the resistance to change on the LDR. But what happens when we are working in a practical condition? Like I am using an Arduino or anything, that device will have an input impedance. Basically, उसके pins में भी कुछ input impedance होगा. Let's say this is my input impedance system. And according to datasheet of Arduino, the input impedance of an Arduino analog input pins, in an Arduino there are different kind of pins. So Arduino can work as a analog sensing voltage sensing device. It can also generate voltage. So when we are talking about those pins which are sensing the voltage, that is also called ADC pins or analog pins or analog to digital converter pins. Those pins have some internal impedance, and it is around 100 kilo ohm. I'm sorry, it's around 1 mega ohm. I was wrong, it's about 1 mega ohm. So if I set it to 1 mega ohm and I just simply run the circuit, you can see right now it is generating 3.57 volt. Now if I connect this Arduino pin to this signal pin, you from 3 points before the connection we were getting around 3.7 volt. Let me just connect a small switch so that we can simulate it live. Okay, So if I start now, right now the voltage at this point is 3.57 volt. Okay, but if I connect this switch, you will see the voltage changes a bit. As the impedance was very high, so there is not much changes in the voltage. It is still 3.5. But what if I change it to around 100 kilo ohms as an input resistance, and I change it to around like, let's say we have kept in somewhat dark space, so it's around 10 kilo ohm. Right now the voltage is 4.5 volt. If I release the voltage, it's 4.55 volts. So there is now a difference of 50 millivolts in the signal when we are reading with Arduino and when we are reading without Arduino. Right now the reading is 4.5 volt. If we are reading with the Arduino analog pin, and if I disconnect it and if I check with using multimeter, I will get a voltage of 4.55 volts. So this 50 millivolt is very low as compared when we are discussing in our DIY purposes or lab purposes. But when we are talking about industrial equipments, or when we are talking about industrial environment, this 50 millivolt can also cause a lot of damage to any very costly machines. Because when we are talking about precision and we are talking about accuracy, 50 millivolt is a very big deal. So what we can do to overcome this problem? So we will learn about that in our next few slides. So as we understand how resistance dividend circuit work, as we can convert variable resistance into variable voltage to connect to microcontroller. So here is a simple amplifier output diagram. As you can see, the basic stage of amplifier is very simple. Whatever small input signal we give into the amplifier, there is a gain. Now what gain does is it's multiply the output up to 8 times. So here I have given a voltage input of V in, then we are getting an output of V out. Now V out is exactly A into V in. So the amount of gain which we set into the amplifier is given output as a multiplier of the output. So to better understand, let me show you it in our simulation software again. So as the problem we saw here was that when we are talking about this microcontroller reading, we were getting 50 millivolt of drop. So in place of this switch, if I move this circuit to a bit far away, keep this still that we are using this as a microcontroller input pin, and I disconnect it from here. Now if I use an operational amplifier, okay, and connect these two pins, does anyone have any doubt?
There is one query. One participant is asking about the name of the software.
Okay, so this is a free software. It is available on your browser as well as Android tab. You can search for every circuit. It is written on the top left side. You can go to the every circuit website. I will also share this link on the chat menu. So if you want to go, you can go from here also. Right now I'm using on this browser. It is also available in Android. Okay, so back to the topic. So what we will use is that I have a simple operational amplifier. Now those who don't know or need to understand more about operational amplifier, these are basically an amplifying device. So I'm just generating a very simple circuit, which is also known as buffer circuit. Now what buffer circuit does is that it will give same output of voltage as its input. So if I connect it over here and I open this switch, now open this switch, you can see the voltage before what we were getting is 4.55 volt. It was correct, as we were also getting this when switch was open, and right now the switch is still open. Now the most simplest or the ideal definition of op-amp is that it is a very high input impedance device. So basically there will be infinite amount of resistance between these 2 points, so no amount of current is passing through it. As you can see, 0 ampere. It is an ideal op-amp. So the voltage at the input of the op-amp is 4.55 volt, and as it is a buffer op-amp, so basically what will be the input, same will be the output. So you can see the output is also 4.55 volt. Now, if I go and connect my microcontroller to this system, so this time if I connect the system, you can see the 4.55 volt doesn't changes, and the same amount of voltage is passing through the microcontroller. So this is one of the most simplest form of signal conditioning block or signal conditioning system which is used in an embedded system. You pass a sensor, you take a sensor, you changes its value in some kind of voltage and use a buffer to isolate both the system such that the impedance doesn't causes any problem. As before using this buffer circuit, the main problem was that कि जब हम connect कर रहे थे तो it was 4.55 and when we connect the microcontroller it was going to 4.50 volt. But using this buffer circuit, now the voltage is still 4.55 volts. This is the internal working of an op amp, you can say. There is an input device and a voltage source, and voltage source is generating same voltage which it is getting in the input. And
Okay.
both the systems are isolated. Okay, so let us carry on. Now there are very different kinds of amplifiers which are needed in embedded systems. As I was talking about, the industrial criteria of sensors suggests that a sensor should work between 4 to 20 milliampere. जो भी सेंसर्स हम इंडस्ट्री में यूज करते हैं, वी ट्राई कि हम उस सेंसर्स को एक 4 to 20 मिली एम्पियर रेंज में ही रखें, वेयर 4 मिली एम्पियर is basically our 0% of the sensor output and 20 milliampere is the 100% of the sensor output. Now, one question rises कि why industrial standard is 4 to 20 milliampere? कि क्यों ही 4 to 20 milliampere use कर रहे हैं? So the point is 4 to 20 milliampere especially current इसलिए use करते हैं because industry in industry there are so many different kind of machineries and systems which are working together, which are continuously generating different kind of EMI or electromagnetic inductions which are rising, which are causing to rise in noise. So whatever system आप जो भी system industry में use करेंगे, it is very prone to get noise from different kind of machines working in a very various environment. So what happens when we are talking about voltages? I think many of you have worked with DSO and CRO. आप लोगों ने DSO और CRO को use किया होगा कभी अपने life में. So what happens when we touch the pin, the input pin of DSO, there is some kind of sine wave generated on the signal, और that is basically noise जो हम सुनते हैं कि हमने पिन को टच किया अगर अपने bare hand से, अपनी body touch होती है bare hand से input pin पे, so there is some kind of sine wave generated on the display. Now this is, it has a very small millivolts of sine wave and but can anybody tell me how this sine wave is there? Why our body is generating a sine wave of some smaller millivolt? So if anyone has any answer to this question, he can provide, or else I can also tell you. I will tell you. So basically when we touch the DSO input pin, our body act as an antenna, and you can see that we are continuously surrounded by many different kind of wireless signals. It can be Wi-Fi, it can be GSM signals, it can be our microwave, it can be any kind of electromagnetic radiations surrounding us. So what we does is that we are acting as a huge radar, or we are acting as a huge antenna, and we are continuously bombarded with those signals जो हमारी बॉडी पे continuously आ रहे हैं. तो वो सारे सिग्नल्स आपस में मिक्स होके हमारी बॉडी में हल्के से एकदम बारीक लेवल में, एकदम स्मॉल लेवल की वोल्टेजेस जनरेट करते हैं. एंड एज all the signals which we are surrounded around, in fact electromagnetic radiations from sun, ultraviolet, microwave, infrared, all these radiations are sine wave as an ideal structure. So those all signals are based on sine wave. So all this signal merge together and they make a noisy signal in our body. So the overall this collection of all the signals we are picking up from our body is seen on the DSO. So whenever you are touching the DSO on the probe, it is not some kind of random noise. It is all the collection of all the radiations your body is absorbing, and that is shown on the display. But same as while standing in front of a DSO in a in a very secure lab environment, you are generating so much noise. Just imagine how
Radio
much
digital
noise
हो रहा है
is
हमारा.
generated in an industry. So as I was explaining, in an industrial environment, there are many different kind of machineries, heavy machineries working together. So those machines, while working, generate a lot of radiations and noise in electrical systems as well as their surrounding. So when we are talking, like I have attached a sensor in a machinery, and all those sensors in different kind of machineries are collected by a DAQ, connected by a DAQ in a secure chamber. What happens? This EMI and this noise can cause a lot of noises in all those sensors. So voltage source are very prone to noise, as we already know, because whenever we are checking a voltage, even a touch of our hand can cause a distorted sine wave on a DSO. So the most easiest and most practical way to overcome this problem is that from use without in place of using voltage as a signal source, we use as a current. Because whenever our body is generating radiations or noise or any kind of this distortion, we are generating millivolts of voltage. But when we check uh, uh, when we connect a ammeter across our body, there is 0 volts, 0 ampere. No current flows through our body because we don't generate a very higher amount of current. It's just pico ampere or lower than pico amperes of current which we generate due to this radiation. That is why the signals which are used in industrial are based on current, because whatever amount of noise or whatever amount of EMIs are generated from those heavy machineries, they doesn't generate a large amount of current to distort this current signals. So whenever we are talking about industrial equipments, we always try to work on electrical signals, which is also specified as 4 milliampere to 20 milliampere. So this is the basic explanation why we are working on current sensors in industrial environment and not on voltage sensors. So, but still the problem is that our microcontroller doesn't read current. It cannot change. It cannot read the current. As we all know, microcontroller or embedded system is a digital device. So it work on either a logic of 0 or 1, or that is high. So either low or high. It's a voltage controlled system. So we need some kind of system to change our current into a voltage source. So this is a simplified circuit of a current to voltage amplifier, or I'm sorry, it's a current amplifier. But the diagram shown over here is current to voltage converter. Basically, it's same, because when we are changing from current to voltage, we also need to amplify, because 4 to 20 milliampere, if we convert into voltage, will be converted into 4 millivolts to 20 millivolts, but it is still very low. So we need around 40 millivolts to 200 millivolts, or 4 volts to 200 volts, some higher level of voltage. So I hope you can see this circuit over here. The explanation is somewhat what I just explained you. It is more theoretical, but the best way to explain the operation amplifier is to practical purpose, because if I'm going to explain this circuit using some equations or mathematical formulas, or those are also available in books, and it is good for examination point of view, but still practical point of view, it lacks so much things, because we can we can learn how it works, but we cannot use how it works until we have seen how it works. So I will just delete this circuit. So here I have already built a voltage to current converter circuit, because it's somewhat a huge circuit. So I won't start making. I won't make it from the start, but I have already made this, so I can start explaining you right away. So basically, what we had is we have two different kind of op amps and a current source. This yellow colored block here you can see is a current source, right now giving an output of 16.1 milliampere. I can control the current by dialing it up and down, like we can go to 20 milliampere, and we can also go to 4 milliampere. So right now, just say we are on 10 milliampere current right now. Just ignore the right hand side of this circuit. Right now, we will just explain the part where this green dots are moving. This green dot is the flow of current in the circuit itself. So you can see there is an operational amplifier. I've used it over here, and the positive side is grounded. and the negative side is connected directly to the voltage through the current source. So basically current source is parallelly connected to the operational amplifier like this. Then I have also added a very small amount of resistance across the negative input and output of our operational amplifier, and a filter capacitor. You can just neglect this capacitor, it's just acting as a ripple filter, otherwise it may cause some ripple, so we can just ignore that. So basically this is the simplified version of converting a current into voltage. Now how will you explain this to yourself, how this 10 milliampere of current is generating this 250 millivolts, 250 microvolts of voltage over here, this at this green part. Then also this green part, that is 250 millivolt, is going to another op amp which is just a simple non-inverting operational amplifier, you can see. And if I increase this resistance to, let's say, for 40 kilo ohm, you will find that the voltage at this purple side is exactly 10.2 millivolt. You can see the input current is 10 milliampere over here, and the output voltage is 10.2 millivolts. It is right now very close to nearly linear. Now if I change it to 9 milliampere input source of current, the output also goes to 9.22 millivolts. So it is somewhat.
सर नमस्ते सर।
नमस्ते सर, नमस्ते।
सर ये हाई इनपुट इम्पीडेंस कौन से एम्पलीफायर का होता है सर, थोड़ा सा निवेदन।
सर बेसिकली आइडियली सभी ऑप एम्प का इनपुट इम्पीडेंस बहुत हाई होता है, बट अगर आपको बहुत ज्यादा प्रिसीजन चाहिए, आपको थ्योरेटिकल उसके पास जाना है, तो आपको इंस्ट्रूमेंटेशन ऑप एम्प यूज करना पड़ेगा उसके लिए।
जी जी
इंस्ट्रूमेंटेशन एम्पलीफायर्स का सबसे हाई इनपुट इम्पीडेंस होता है।
जी 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 सर। और कम सर?
कम तो फिर अपने बेसिक ऑप एम्प आप कोई सा भी उठा लीजिए, सब में कम ही होता है, मतलब कंपेयर टू इंस्ट्रूमेंटेशन एम्पलीफायर।
जी 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 सर। ओके सर।
ओके, सो राइट नाउ हियर यू कैन सी कि यहाँ पे हमने 9 मिली एम्पियर का करंट इनपुट दिया, आउटपुट 9 वोल्ट मिली वोल्ट के आसपास आ गया। सिमिलरली अगर हम इसको 6 मिली वोल्ट 6 मिली एम्पियर डालते हैं, सो our current should also go close to 6 millivolts output. So how this circuit is basically working is that we already understand. Now it's a bit typical thing to understand sometimes, but the very simple thing is that कि जब भी हम कोई करंट सोर्स इसके अक्रॉस लगाएंगे, ऑप एम्प के अक्रॉस, देयर इज नो पॉसिबल वे कि कुछ भी करंट इस ऑप एम्प के अंदर से फ्लो होगा, क्योंकि इसका इनपुट इम्पीडेंस इतना हाई है कि इसके अंदर से करंट ना जाते हुए वो दूसरे अपने सोर्स के थ्रू करंट जाएगा। तो बेसिकली लेट्स से ये सेंसर हमारा एक प्रेशर सेंसर है जो 4 to 20 मिली एम्पियर करंट जनरेट करता है। नाउ ये 4 to 20 मिली एम्पियर करंट जो भी फ्लो होगा इस सेंसर के थ्रू ही फ्लो होगा, क्योंकि ऑप एम्प जनरेट नहीं कर रहा है। बट क्योंकि ये करंट यहां से फ्लो हो रहा है, दिस सर्किट शुड बी क्लोज समवेयर, ये सर्किट कहीं ना कहीं तो क्लोज होना चाहिए। तो अगर मैं इस पाथ को अभी डिलीट कर दूं और मैं सिर्फ इसको ऑप एम्प के स्टार्टिंग पे लगा दूं, सो ये जो करंट यहां से फ्लो हो रहा है, ये करंट कहीं से जनरेट होना चाहिए। तो दिस करंट विल बी जनरेटेड फ्रॉम आउटपुट ऑफ द ऑप एम्प। ये करंट जबरदस्ती जनरेट किया जा रहा है ऑप एम्प के आउटपुट से, ताकि ये पूरा पाथ क्लोज हो सके और इस अपने करंट सोर्स के थ्रू करंट ग्राउंड हो सके, मतलब जा सके। सो ऑब्वियस बात है, अगर ये जबरदस्ती करंट फ्लो किया जा रहा है तो इस पाथ में मैं जो भी रेजिस्टेंस लगाऊंगा उस रेजिस्टेंस के अक्रॉस कुछ वोल्टेज तो जनरेट हो गई। एंड एज अपना वो करंट सोर्स के अक्रॉस 0 वोल्ट लगा हुआ है, सो सेम 0 वोल्ट आल्सो पास आउट ओवर टू दिस 0 वोल्ट, बिकॉज अ करंट सोर्स इज एक्टिंग एज अ शॉर्ट सर्किट। ये एक शॉर्ट सर्किट टाइप एक्ट करेगा। सो बेसिकली जब तक इस पाथ में मैं कहीं भी कोई रेजिस्टेंस नहीं लगाता हूं, तब तक ये पूरे पाथ में 0 वोल्ट ही रहेगा। बट जैसे ही मैं इस पाथ में एक रेजिस्टेंस ऐड करता हूं, सिंपल बेसिक इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स है, अगर इस करंट इस पाथ में से इस रेजिस्टेंस में से कोई करंट फ्लो होगा तो इसके अक्रॉस कुछ वोल्टेज जनरेट होगा। तो यूजिंग दैट वोल्टेज, यहाँ 0 वोल्ट है और यहाँ हमारा कुछ वोल्ट करंट फ्लो हो रहा है, सो दिस इज कॉजिंग टू जनरेट दिस वोल्टेज एट दिस पॉइंट। सो जस्ट बिकॉज क्योंकि हमारा सोर्स जबरदस्ती ऑप एम्प से करंट जनरेट करा रहा है और हमने उसके सीरीज में एक रेजिस्टेंस लगा दिया है, हम इस सीरीज के अक्रॉस एक वोल्टेज जनरेट कर रहे हैं ड्यू टू दैट करंट सोर्स। And this source is then amplified using a inverting amplifier here. यहाँ पे हम एक नॉन इन्वर्टिंग एम्पलीफायर के थ्रू इसे बूस्ट कर दे रहे हैं। तो बेसिकली दिस पार्ट इज एक्टिंग एज अ नॉन इन्वर्टिंग एम्पलीफायर एंड दिस पार्ट इज एक्टिंग एज अ करंट टू वोल्टेज कन्वर्टर। आई नो इट इज डिफिकल्ट टू अंडरस्टैंड, बट थोड़ा सा प्रैक्टिकली अगर आप देखेंगे, थोड़ा सा समझने की कोशिश करेंगे तो आपको कॉन्सेप्ट्स क्लियर होंगे. बट अगर अभी तक किसी को कुछ डाउट है, क्या आप अगर आपको कुछ डाउट है आप पूछ सकते हैं. निष्ठर जी ने पूछा है कि व्हाट इज द रेंज ऑफ वोल्टेज रेडिएटेड फ्रॉम आवर बॉडी. सो एक्चुअली द रेडिएशन जो अपनी बॉडी रेडिएट करती है वो इतनी इफेक्टिव नहीं होती है, क्योंकि हमारी पूरी न्यूरोलॉजिकल सिस्टम जो वर्क कर रही होती है वो बहुत माइक्रो वोल्ट्स पे काम कर रही होती है. Next, we have power amplifiers. Till now, what the amplifiers we were using were only operation amplifier, because जो signal हमें चाहिए था वो बस volts में convert करने के लिए चाहिए था. But what happens when we need some very powerful output of our signal? Same signal should be output in much more powerful voltage or current source. So in such case, we use a powerful or power amplifier. So just right now, I just explained power amplifier have different kind of classes, class A, class B, A, B, and the most commonly used today are class D amplifiers. Those are digital amplifiers. Now classes is another vast topic. I am not going much deep into classes, but the simplest form of class explanation is that the best amplifiers are class AB amplifiers, जो दोनों टाइप ऑफ वेव्स देते हैं. बेसिकली वो पॉजिटिव साइकिल भी दे सकते हैं और वो नेगेटिव वोल्टेज साइकिल भी दे सकते हैं. दैट इज व्हाई क्लास ए बी आर द मोस्ट यूज्ड एम्पलीफायर्स. बट रिसेंटली एज क्लास ए बी एम्पलीफायर्स डोंट हैव मच हायर एफिशिएंसीज, उनकी एफिशिएंसी अच्छी नहीं होती है. सो व्हाट हैपेंस कि जब हम क्लास ए बी एम्पलीफायर्स की बात करते हैं तो वो अराउंड 70% एफिशिएंसी देते हैं, तो वो हीट अप बहुत होते हैं जब हम पावर एम्पलीफिकेशंस करते हैं. So they need bigger heat sinks, fans, and different circuitry to keep their thermals in control, उनका temperature control करने के लिए. But in case of class D amplifiers are highly efficient amplifiers. Those are digital amplifiers. They have some limitations of their own, but उनकी efficiency 96%, 97% तक होती है. So those are very efficient, good for environment, and they doesn't need much huge heat sinks on it. But why do we need a power amplifier in our systems? What happens is, like, let's say that we are working in a digital system or a digital signal processing system, and right now I have some kind of microwave signal, or I want to generate some kind of microwave signal. So generating a microwave signal in a breadboard is not possible because it needs some different kind of circuitry and precision. But once it is done, you can get some signal radiations of around few millivolts. But what if we have to amplify the signal to get in much more powerful signal strength? So in such cases, we use power amplifier, and the most commonly used power amplifier is your home theaters. In your home theaters, in your mobile phones, in your Bluetooth speakers, they use some kind of power amplifier. Usually 5 watt, 3 watt is more than sufficient for audible ranges. But like in home theaters, there are 60 watts, 100 watts. This watt suggests how much power the operational amplifier have. How much power the operational amplifier can handle. So power amplifiers are basically used in very high power signals, and currently we don't need those kind of signal until and unless you are working in some huge machine or some radar or some wireless technology. Then the next amplifier we have is instrumentation amplifier. अब instrumentation amplifier क्या होता है? Basically जो ऑपरेशनल एम्पलीफायर हम देखते हैं, जैसे यहाँ पे हमने जो ऑपरेशनल एम्पलीफायर देखा था, अगर एक क्लीन सर्किट में जाए हम इसे डिस्कार्ड कर दें. सो सिंपल ऑपरेशनल एम्पलीफायर हैज 3 इनपुट आउटपुट्स, बेसिकली 2 इनपुट्स on the left and 1 output on the right. So these three are used for their input and output applications. But what happens is that in simple conditions, like we are using an inverting, not inverting amplifier, we ground one of the signal, whereas another we give an input to another signal, another side of this operational amplifier, like this. So here you can see that we are providing only 1 volt input to the positive side. And if I run this circuit, I am getting this saturated output because right now there is no feedback connected. So it is the maximum voltage this op amp can provide, which is 15 volts. Now if I take a resistance I connect it to the output and input. Okay, so now if I take one more resistance, this is a simple non-inverting amplifier circuit. Okay, now you can see I am providing input of 1, output is 2. So gain, yes
सर
sir.
हाँ सर, कौन सा पावर अच्छा होता है
Class
सर?
D sir, Class D is the best. Class D amplifiers are the best amplifiers. Okay, so here what I have taken is that I have taken two resistance, 1 kilo ohm, 1 kilo ohm, and simple operational amplifier circuit I have made here is a non-inverting amplifier. So as we all know, the gain is set using RF, that is this resistance RF upon RI. So 1 upon 1 is exactly 1. And as this is a non-inverting amplifier, we have to add one more internal gain of the system, so we get a gain of 2. So this is a drawback of non-inverting amplifier. We always get plus 1 of the gain. So right now what I was explaining was that when we are talking about instrumentation amplifiers, what we need is that we have to as I was talking about, an operational amplifier has two different inputs. So basically the variation between these two inputs is amplified at the output. So this is a simple differential amplifier. It is just subtracting the both voltages at the input side and multiplying it with the gain and sending it output. This is a simple differential amplifier acting as a differential amplifier. But there are some areas where voltage level is so low, like one of the most commonly used area is biomedical systems, where we have to take ECG or EMG of a patient. Those signals which are generated from our body, as asked by this question right now, the the radiation our body is radiate is in a voltage level of microvolts. So it is not very easy to capture without capturing noise. So the simplest difference between a differential amplifier and instrumentation amplifier is that instrumentation amplifier can avoid a very large area of noise in a very small and very low voltage signal, whereas a differential amplifier can still generate some noise. The basic working of both the amplifier is very close to each other, as both work as a differential input amplifier. But in a instrumentation amplifier, there are total number of at least 3 different op-amp used in a single amplification step. So basically these two act as a in non-inverting input for our instrumentation amplifier, which act as a differential input also. So basically these two will take whatever signal you are getting. So basically these two op-amps at the input act as a differential input. ये differential input type act करेंगे. तो ये try करते हैं कि जो सबसे जितना भी कम आपका input हो, जितने भी कम वोल्ट का input हो आपका, वो उसे amplify करेंगे, इंक्लूडिंग नॉइस. वो नॉइस को भी साथ में एम्पलीफाई कर देंगे. पर क्योंकि ये सिग्नल एक ही सोर्स के हैं, V1 और V2 एक ही सोर्स से लिए जाते हैं जब हम इंस्ट्रूमेंटेशन एम्पलीफायर यूज करते हैं, तो ये दोनों ही सिग्नल सेम गेन में वो होते हैं, बूस्ट होते हैं. और ये पूरा का पूरा सर्किट एक ऑपरेशन एक इंस्ट्रूमेंटेशन एम्पलीफायर के अंदर बना हुआ होता है. तो दिस सर्किट्स आर वेरी प्रिसाइसली ट्यून्ड. ये फैक्ट्री ट्यून्ड आते हैं कि ये कम से कम वेरिएशन जनरेट करे हर ऑप एम्प में. तो बेसिकली दिस 3 ऑप एम्प्स आर वेरी मच आइडेंटिकल टू ईच अदर. सो वॉट एवर सिग्नल V1 और V2 एम्पलीफाई होते हैं R2 और R2 के बीच में, ये लगभग सेम नॉइस क्रिएट करते हैं. तो ये सेम नॉइज जब हम ये डिफरेंशियल इनपुट ऑपरेशनल एम्पलीफायर में इनपुट देते हैं, दिस सेम नॉइज गेट कैंसल्ड आउट एंड वी गेट अ वेरी प्योर एंड वेरी क्लीन सिग्नल which was an input. So all the noise get isolated because दोनों ऑप एम्प सेम ट्यून्ड होते हैं. तो दोनों ऑप एम्प सेम गेन पे काम करते हैं. सारे रेजिस्टेंस आपस में फाइनली ट्यून्ड होते हैं, तो सारे नॉइज भी आपस में एकदम बराबर लेवल में एम्पलीफाई होते हैं. बट जब वो फाइनल स्टेज में डिफरेंशियल एम्पलीफायर में जाते हैं, तो जो सेम सिग्नल्स जो यूजुअली नॉइज होती है वो आपस में कैंसिल आउट हो जाती है, और जो वेरिएबल सिग्नल्स होते हैं, जो V1 और V2 का डिफरेंस होता है, वो फाइनल स्टेज में आके एम्पलीफाई होता है. सो एट द आउटपुट ऑफ इंस्ट्रूमेंटेशन एम्पलीफायर ऑल द नॉइज इज क्लीन्ड आउट एंड वी गेट अ प्योर एंड वेरी very fine and very pure output signal of those input. बट अगर हम डिफरेंशियल एम्पलीफायर की जब बात करते हैं तो डिफरेंशियल एम्पलीफायर में ये पीछे वाला पार्ट होता ही नहीं है, ये R2 R1 R गेन ये कुछ भी नहीं होता है, सीधा सिर्फ एक ही ऑप एम्प होता है और उसी ऑप एम्प में हम V1 और V2 दोनों इनपुट ऐड कर देते हैं. तो इन सच केस जो थोड़ा बहुत माइनर डिफरेंस जो नॉइस के अंदर रह जाता है वो भी एम्पलीफाई हो जाता है, तो ओवरऑल आपको V आउट में नॉइस भी मिलेगा. So what is the simple difference between instrumentation amplifier and differential amplifier is that जब हम instrumentation amplifier यूज करते हैं तो हमें बहुत अच्छा noise reduction characteristics मिलता है, but जब हम differential amplifier यूज करते हैं तो it is not as good as instrumentation amplifier in noise reduction characteristics. Any doubts? There is one more question. If possible, then can you tell me what kind of amplifiers will be used in majority of sensors? Okay, so some of the most commonly used amplifiers that is used in our embedded systems, अगर आप practical purpose के point of view से बोलते हैं, so the most commonly used is LM358. It is very easily available and it can be available in your local electronic shops also. So this is a simple LM358. It has two op amps inside a single 8-pin package. So this is one of the normal op amps which is used in the different kind of embedded systems and most commonly used in electronic system. Other than that, if you need only one op amp, so we can also go for TL07 and TL08. This kind of op amp are also available for low noise amplifications and systems. 072, I'm sorry, TL072. So it has only one internal op amp, but has some extra features like you can adjust offset and some different kind of systems. Other than that, there are a few more instrumentation amplifier and simple amplifiers, but the most commonly used is I think AD621. Yes, okay. AD621 is one of the most commonly used instrumentation amplifier. It also has that same circuitry inside it, and as you can see, this data sheet is huge, so it is showing all the different characteristics of an op amp. So whenever you are working in a very typical situations, you have to study the data sheet to understand better about the module. But basically, these three are the most commonly used operational amplifier. For instrumentation amplifier, AD621. For mono op amps, TL072. And for dual op amps, LM358.
Okay, sir. So is it like if the application of the sensor is such, for example, biomedical application is there, then rather using op amps like LM358 or TL072, we should use an instrumentation amplifier that will be useful. Is this the reason? That's why we are selecting AD621?
Yes, ma'am, correctly. As you explained, AD621 should be used in biomedical applications because not just biomedical applications, but wherever the voltage level is below microvolts. If you're working in microvolts, you should go for instrumentation amplifiers.
Okay, if we are working in microvolts, then we should opt for instrumentation amplifier.
Yes, it is the borderline. Microvolts, nanovolts, picovolts should be working on instrumentation amplifier. Though you can still use microvolts in this normal amplifiers also, but there can be some noise.
Okay, and about millivolts, we can use the simple op amp, right?
Yes, you can use LM358 or TL072.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. One more question is, what coupling is generally employed in power amplifiers and what is the power stage of amplifiers? Basically, coupling can be done using a simple capacitor also. You can simply use a capacitor in series of a power amplifier. For say, if I remove this, but using a capacitor should always have a alternating current. So let's say if I have an AC signal and I want to use a coupler to isolate two circuits for their impedance mismatching, so I can just simply use a capacitor of 10 microfarad should be enough for audible ranges for around 10 kilohertz to 20 kilohertz. Below 10 kilohertz, you should go for around 1 microfarad and 4.7 microfarad. So if I run this kind of circuit, you can see it is isolating also, but still giving output same as input. And regarding RC coupling, you can also connect some RC, as Vineet sir also explained. RC coupling can also be used. So you can also use some resistance network. So you can eventually filter out noise or filter out any kind of circuit. You can add low pass, high pass, passive filters. Okay, so next thing is inverting amplifier. I don't think so it need much explanation. We have already seen its practical purpose. But as you can see, an inverting amplifier, right now we have connected a non-inverting amplifier. So the output voltage has same phase, means same voltage level as input phase. So you can say if I compare both the signal, you will see that both the signal are same in phase with each other. But if I change this operational amplifier circuit to a non-inverting one, let's say I delete this part. And I connect this to ground. The circuit will get somewhat messy, but just try to understand. Okay, so right now I will explain over here. It's very simple logic. There are two most commonly used configuration of op amps. One is inverting amplifier, other is non-inverting amplifier. The most commonly used in digital electronics is non-inverting amplifiers. Why? Because in non-inverting amplifiers, the input phase and output phase is same. Basically, if I am providing an input of positive volt, the output will also always be in positive. It will never go in negative side until and unless the input has gone to negative side. But while we are talking about inverting amplifier, this exactly invert the output up to 180 degree. So what happens when we provide let's say I provided an input of 1 volt in this kind of system, what will happen? Let me just again show you over here. If I ground the positive side, add two different kind of resistance, one for RF and one for RI. So this will act as a RI and this will act as a RF, that is resistance for feedback and resistance for input. And now if I add this input, you will see that the output is out of phase, and I have to just vary some gain because wait, let's take a DC input. Okay, as you can see, I am providing an input of around positive 1 volt, and it is giving an output of minus 15 volts because it is getting saturated. The output is getting saturated as compared to the input. So why it is saturating? Because the overall gain of this kind of system is way too high to act. Because I have done again a mistake. I'm sorry. This resistance, this RI should be connected in series. Because if we ground it from the one end, the overall RI that is at this part will be 0. So the gain of the amplifier will go to the maximum possible output, which is saturation point. So now if you will see that I am providing an input of 1 volt, it is giving an output of minus 2 volt as our gain is set to somewhat 1.8. If I set the resistance RF to 1 kilo ohm, same as RI, you can see that we are getting an output of minus 1 volt when we are providing an input of 1 volt. So this is a simple simple inverting amplification circuit in which we are giving an input of 1 volt. Now if I replace it with a sine wave AC signal source and I run this circuit, you will find that the phase is totally opposite. So the purple is our output and the green is our input. So you can see a 1 to 1 plus 1 to minus 1 peak volt of input signal is providing minus 1 to 1. So you can see the phase has been opposite. Now if I try to change the gain, let's make it 2. You can see now phase is still the same, it is opposite, but the gain has increased. Similarly, no matter how much amount of gain you increase, the overall output will be always opposite to the input phase. So this is how you amplify a very small AC signal or DC signal to using an inverting amplifier. Similarly, after this we have a non-inverting amplifier. So we have already seen the non-inverting one. In such case, what we do is that we ground this part, we remove this part, and we connect the source to positive side, whereas we are also connecting the RI to ground. In such case, we have a same phase output, but the gain is still nearly same as we have already changed the gain. So if I again set it to 1, you will see in a non-inverting system we are getting a gain of 2. I'm sorry, it's in a gain of 2 and with the same phase as the input. So here positive cycle means positive output, negative cycle means negative output. But in non-inverting, positive cycles means negative output and negative cycles mean positive output. I hope there is one more doubt. If possible, can you provide any application of inverting amplifier in embedded domain? Inverted amplifiers in embedded domain are mainly used when we are converting to a very small amount of current to this voltage source. And another is when we are talking about we are using filters in especially digital signal processing applications, like I want to make an voice modulation circuit in which my voice should be modified. The most commonly used example in such case is Alexa or Google Home. I hope some of you have already explored Google Homes and Alexa. You can talk to Alexa. Overall, it's an electronic device, it's a digital device, embedded device, but it can still hear your analog voice signal. So what it does is that it has some microphones, and these microphones pick up our audio signals, and our audio signal is not always in positive cycles, they are also in negative cycles. So what this microphones and digital DSP in inverting non-inverting amplifiers does is that taking those positive and negative AC signals from our voice, they convert it into some kind of digital form. So it use non-inverting and inverting amplifier both, because when the raw voice signal is provided to the microphone, it has a very lower attenuation, because if you have used Alexa, you may have already know that Alexa can pick up noise. Alexa जो है वो आपकी आवाज काफी दूर से pick up कर सकती है. You can stand from one edge of a room and it can pick your voice exactly correctly from around 10 feet and 20 feet of distance. How? Because multiple microphones are picking up that audio from you, and non-inverting amplifiers are inverting those amplifiers up to a certain levels, and using some digital signal processors, they are able to distinguish कि क्या noise है और क्या actual wake word है या discussion के लिए या कोई इसे call कर रहा है. तो this kind of differentiation are done using these amplifiers.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, so next, this was a simple diagram of an operational amplifiers, non-inverting one we have already seen. But the difference between inverting and non-inverting is one more, is that in non-inverting there is always a +1 unity gain is added to the system. Even if R1 and R2 are same, the overall gain of the system will always be 2. It is not possible to go below 1. So in non-inverting amplifier, the minimum amount of amplification possible is 1. Whereas in non-inverting, you can go below 1 also, means 0.1 and 0.2. So you can attenuate the signal too, if you don't want loud signals. So in practical purposes, when we have a very high power signals, we can use inverting amplifier to attenuate the signals also, whereas non-inverting cannot be used. Now here is a differential amplifier. In few slides ago, I explained you about the instrumentation amplifier. In the simple block diagram for instrumentation amplifier, आपने देखा होगा कि there were 3 operational amplifiers. वहाँ 3 operational amplifiers use हो रहे थे. Whereas in simple differential amplifiers, there is only one amplifier is used. So overall, जब आप प्रैक्टिकल पर्पस में जब हम मार्केट में इंस्ट्रूमेंटेशन एम्पलीफायर, ऑपरेशनल एम्पलीफायर या डिफरेंशियल एम्पलीफायर सर्च कर रहे होंगे, द मोस्ट कॉस्टली, द मोस्ट प्राइस सी, और जो सबसे महंगे एम्पलीफायर्स होंगे वो होंगे इंस्ट्रूमेंटेशन एम्पलीफायर, because they are using a lot more hardware inside them when compared to a simple operational amplifier. So प्राइस रेंज की बात करें तो सिंपल नॉन इन्वर्टिंग, इन्वर्टिंग वाले बेसिक ऑपरेशनल एम्पलीफायर आर द चीपेस्ट. Then differential amplifier, they are costlier than this normal operational amplifier, but cheaper than instrumentation amplifier. And then the most costliest amplifier are instrumentation amplifier. In between these three, the instrumentation amplifier are the costliest one because of their hardware counts. So differential amplifier is also same. There are two different voltage sources, and there are total two input of the op amp, and the output is the very negative. Basically, V1 minus V2 is the output. If you want to see the practical example, let's see. Let me just delete this circuit. Let us take two inputs. Let us make one as a 2 volts and another as 1 volt. And as the circuit suggests, there should be 4 resistance to set the gain as well as the impedance between both the circuits. So R1 and R3 are basically setting the gain of this overall amplifier, whereas R2 and R4 are acting as a impedance matching for both the systems. So what I will do, I will take 2 resistance and I will connect it similar to the circuit like this. This goes here and this goes here. Both negative inputs are tied together, and another resistance, 2 resistance are needed. One has to be working as a feedback. It should be connected to the negative side. So I'm connecting this to the negative side. Whereas on the positive side, just to match the impedance, I have to connect it to the ground. Now it's a very basic and simple circuit. If I switch on the circuit, you can see the output is 1 volt. So correct. If we minus 1 volt minus 2 volt, the output is always 1 volt. If I increase this 2 volt to 3 volts, you will see the output of differential amplifier is 2 volt. So basically it is just subtracting both the signals. Till now, anyone has any doubt how this, anything related to circuits or anything? Okay, so we are going next step. What happens is here is that when we are using similar resistance and similar circuitry on both the path, it is acting as a unity gain subtractor. So basically 3 volts minus 1 volt is equals to 2 volt, 2 into gain of 1, because here is also 1, here is also 1, the output is 1 volt. Now if I change the gain, you can see the output is also changing. The gain has shifted to 2. But as the impedance is not matched, so it is not exactly 2, but it is shifted to 2.5. So everything should be careful, and we have to match it similar on the both the side. As I have matched this both resistance 2 kilo ohm. You can see the output is 4 volts, which is 1 minus 3, 2, and 2 into 2, 2 volts. So whenever working on differential amplifier, impedance matching on both the side of the circuit is very important. And when I was talking about instrumentation amplifier, I suggested that they have much better noise cancellation options. Why? Because just imagine if I add some kind of noise to this circuit, let's say this another voltage source I add. I'm sorry, it has to be added to the series. I take 2 different sources. These are my noise sources. Just think of it as a noise, and I will set this noise to around a few millivolts, like let's say 200 millivolts. One I have set to 200 millivolts, and another I have set to around 100 millivolts. The difference is very low, around 100 millivolts. It is practically possible to have this much noise. Now, if I see the output, you can see in place of 4 volts, 3 volts minus 1, 2, and a gain of 2, basically I am getting 4.2 volts. The noise is also getting amplified. This is just because we have added this 2 extra noise system in our op amp circuitry. But what happens in practical cases, this noise is very much close to each other. Like you can say around 10-20 millivolts is more than sufficient sufficient noise between these two signals. But still the output is 4.5 volts. So this is the problem which we get in the differential amplifier. And why this noise problem has been caused is because when we are practically making this circuit in real life, it is possible that in place of this 1 kilo ohm resistance, it can be 999.99 or 992 kilo ohm, 992 ohms. This is some practical resistance. You can match with your multimeter also that no two resistance will have similar resistance. Similarly, if I set the gain to a bit different, like 1.9 volt, 9 kilo ohms, you will see that voltage is so much deflected from its original 4 volts. Right now it is 3.95 volts. So this kind of practical errors which are caused due to mismatching of components or from different vendors, like some is providing 992 ohm, some is providing 1 kilo ohm, some is providing 1.9 kilo ohm, 2 kilo ohm. This kind of different parameters in a single circuit may generate a lot of noise. From 4 volt we have already dropped to 3.95 volts, 50 millivolts has been dropped. To compensate this problem, we try to get all this component from a single vendor and has to be manufactured at a single time. That is why an instrumentation amplifier has all this resistance and all this operational amplifier embedded in a single package and has been manufactured by a single person. एक ही पर्सन ने सब कुछ बनाया होता है, एक ही पर्सन ने सब कुछ फाइन ट्यून किया हुआ होता है, इसलिए ऑल द कंपोनेंट्स, जितने भी कंपोनेंट्स सब आपस में बहुत क्लोज होते हैं. तो ओवरऑल दिस नॉइज जनरेटेड ड्यू टू प्रैक्टिकल एरर्स आर वेरी लो. दैट इज वाई जब हम डिफरेंशियल एम्पलीफायर्स की बात करते हैं तो उसमें हमें सिर्फ और सिर्फ एक ऑपरेशनल एम्पलीफायर ही मिलता है. हमें R1, R2, R3, R4 खुद लगाना पड़ता है प्रैक्टिकली सर्किट में. बट इंस्ट्रूमेंटेशन एम्पलीफायर के अंदर हमें ये सारे R1, R2, ये everything, all this circuitry is already built inside the operation amplifier. So the lesser the component we have to arrange, the कम से कम component हमें लगाने पड़े, उतना कम से कम हमें error होता है. That is why for much more error proof, we should always go for instrumentation amplifier. But अगर error range हमारे पास है, bias है, possible है, then we can, for cost effectiveness, we can go for differential amplifier. Okay, next part जो most commonly used होता है digital electronics में is filters. So there are many different kind of filters that are available in analog electronics. It can be low pass, high pass, band pass, narrow pass, etc. etc. Butterscotch, I am not sure क्या नाम था उसका, Butterworth, sorry, I'm sorry, Butterworth, etc. etc. Butterworth, yes, there are many different kind of filters available, but these filters mainly are used in digital signal processing applications, not in embedded systems a lot though. But there are two most commonly used filters which are used in this are high pass filters and low pass filters. Why high pass filter and why low pass filter? First of all, high pass filter, basically as name suggests, high pass filter will let go all the high pass signals from a signal. So it will allow all the high frequency signal to pass, but जब भी low frequency signal की हम बात करेंगे तो वो उसे रोक देगा या attenuate कर देगा. सो हाई पास सिग्नल्स कहाँ यूज होते हैं? हाई पास सिग्नल्स हमें यूजुअली यूज होते हैं न्यूरोलॉजिकल सिग्नल्स रीड करने के लिए या बायोमेडिकल एप्लीकेशंस में. जब हम बॉडी के इलेक्ट्रिकल न्यूरोलॉजिकल सिस्टम्स को डिटेक्ट करते हैं तो हमारी बॉडी बहुत सारी लो फ्रीक्वेंसी रेडिएशन जनरेट करती है ड्यू टू दिस 50 हर्ट्ज इलेक्ट्रिकल सिग्नल्स सराउंडिंग अस. ये 50 हर्ट्ज सिग्नल्स हमारी बॉडी में भी जनरेट होता है. तो ये जो 50 हर्ट्ज को काउंटर करने के लिए हम एक हाई पास फिल्टर लगाते हैं ताकि ओनली न्यूरोलॉजिकल वेव्स और जो हमारे न्यूरॉन्स के कारण जो इलेक्ट्रिकल सिग्नल जनरेट हुआ है सिर्फ वही पास हो सके इंस्ट्रूमेंटेशन एम्पलीफायर्स में. ये एक बेसिक एग्जांपल है हाई पास फिल्टर का. सिमिलरली लो पास फिल्टर वहां यूज होता है जहां पे हाई फ्रीक्वेंसी के कारण बहुत प्रॉब्लम होती है. सो अगर हम कोई एक ऐसे एनवायरनमेंट में पैक्ड है जहां पे बहुत सारे आरएफ या वायरलेस सिस्टम्स अटैच्ड है तो इट मे बी पॉसिबल कि वो वायरलेस फ्रीक्वेंसीज इसमें ईएमआई जनरेट कर दे हमारे सर्किट्स में. सो टू ट्यून आउट ऑल द हाई फ्रीक्वेंसीज वी यूजुअली यूज लो पास फिल्टर. Another most common example of low pass filters are power supplies. जो पावर सप्लाई हम यूज करते हैं डीसी पावर सप्लाईज यूजुअली हैज अ लो पास फिल्टर एट इट्स आउटपुट यूजिंग सम इंडक्टर्स, रेजिस्टर्स और कैपेसिटर, पैसिव आउटपुट डिवाइसेस. व्हाई? बिकॉज जो हमारी आजकल के जो मोस्ट कॉमनली यूज पावर सप्लाईज आर SMPS और स्विच मोड पावर सप्लाईज. नाउ स्विच मोड पावर सप्लाईज जो वर्क करते हैं वो बहुत ही हाई फ्रीक्वेंसीज पे वर्क करते हैं. दे विल वर्क अराउंड 50 किलो हर्ट्ज और 50 बियॉन्ड 50 किलो हर्ट्ज स्विचिंग रेंज. तो अगर हम 50 किलो हर्ट्ज स्विचिंग रेंज की बात कर रहे हैं तो जब वो हम रेक्टिफाई करेंगे डायोड के थ्रू तो हमें एक रिपल्सिव वेव भी मिलेगी 50 किलो हर्ट्ज की. सो द सिंपलेस्ट फॉर्म ऑफ लो पास फिल्टर इज यूज्ड टू गेट रिड ऑफ दोस हाई फ्रीक्वेंसी कंपोनेंट्स using simple resistance and capacitors. Let me just show you the simplest form of a low pass filter. Let's say I have an AC input and I have connected this one point to ground. Now next part is that I want to filter out the circuit. So what I can do, I can simply connect a capacitor across the AC signal. It can attenuate the signal. But in such case, if I run this kind of circuit, you will see that in place of attenuating, it is just following the path, exact sine wave. Nothing has changed, nothing has filtered out. Still we know that capacitor charge and discharge, but कुछ भी change नहीं हुआ यहाँ पे. ऐसा इसलिए क्योंकि जो amount of current और voltage हम sine wave से generate कर रहे हैं, it's much more for a 1 microfarad capacitor. So अगर हम इसके लिए यहाँ पे एक series में एक resistance लगाए हम like this, और अब अगर हम देखें तो अब अगर हम इस रेजिस्टेंस की वैल्यू को हम बढ़ाते हैं तो यू विल सी दैट सिग्नल की जो रिपल्शन जो है वो धीरे धीरे अटेन्यूएट होते जा रही है, वो कम होते जा रही है. एंड जैसे जैसे मैं रेजिस्टेंस को बढ़ाऊंगा वैसे वैसे वो स्मूथ आउट होते जा रहा है. राइट नाउ वी हैव सम वेरी स्मॉल फ्यू मिली वोल्ट्स ऑफ डिफरेंस ना यहाँ पे इस पॉइंट पे. अराउंड 30 मिलीवोल्ट्स के आसपास, 10 मिलीवोल्ट्स के आसपास का रिपल्शन है ये. यू कैन सी 62 मिलीवोल्ट्स टू 58 मिलीवोल्ट रिपल्शन हो रहा है. सो अगर हम सिंपल टोन में समझे तो यहाँ पे यही हुआ कि जो हमारी हाई ये जो फ्रीक्वेंसी थी ये इस पॉइंट तक रेजिस्टेंस और कैपेसिटर के थ्रू आते आते अटेन्यूएट हो गई. सो बेसिकली दिस इज हाउ अ सिंपल लो पास फिल्टर वर्क. ये इस फ्रीक्वेंसी को अटेन्यूएट कर रही है. अब सिमिलरली अगर मैं इसकी फ्रीक्वेंसी 1 किलोहर्ट्ज से बढ़ाते जाऊं, अगर मैं बढ़ाते जाऊं तो यू कैन सी कि हमारा वोल्टेज और भी कम होते जा रहा है. जो रिपल्शन था वोल्टेज का वो और कम होते जा रहा है. नाउ वी आर जस्ट 52.8 मिलीवोल्ट टू 52.5 मिलीवोल्ट. तो यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, हमारा हाई फ्रीक्वेंसी जो है वो अटेन्यूएट होते जा रहा है. तो दिस इज आल्सो एक्टिंग एज अ हाई पास लो पास फिल्टर. ये लोअर फ्रीक्वेंसीज को पास होने देगा बट हायर फ्रीक्वेंसीज को पास नहीं होने देगा. तो अगर हम लोअर फ्रीक्वेंसी करते हैं, लेट्स लाइक गो टू 50 हर्ट्ज एंड आई इंक्रीज द टाइम, यू विल सी अब वेव बड़ी हो गई है. अब 40 to 120 मिलीवोल्ट्स का रिपल्शन आ रहा है. सो दिस इज हाउ अ सिंपल लो पास फिल्टर वर्क, जो लोअर फ्रीक्वेंसीज को पास होने देता है पर हायर फ्रीक्वेंसीज को फिल्टर आउट करता है. तो इसका भी अंडरस्टैंडिंग बहुत सिंपल सा है कॉन्सेप्ट, क्योंकि रेजिस्टेंस एक्ट एज अ करंट लिमिटर. ये ओवरऑल चार्जिंग जो होता है कैपेसिटर का स्लो कर देता है, जिसके कारण जब इसमें जब स्लोअर अमाउंट ऑफ करंट जा रहा होता है तो कैपेसिटर ओवरऑल जल्दी चार्ज हो जाता है. ऑब्वियसली जैसे कैपेसिटर चार्ज होता है रिपल्शन कंटिन्यूअसली बढ़ जाता है. पर जब इसमें बहुत स्पीड में हम हाई फ्रीक्वेंसी में जब बात कर रहे होते हैं, आई एम सॉरी गलत कर दिया मैंने, इसी में जब हम हाई फ्रीक्वेंसी सिग्नल्स इनपुट में देते हैं तब ड्यू टू दिस करंट लिमिटिंग रेजिस्टर ये कैपेसिटर कभी फुल चार्ज हो ही नहीं पाता है. तो जितना भी करंट इसके पास आ रहा होता है वो पूरा का पूरा चार्जिंग में खींच लेता है अपने पास. इट डजंट हैव मच टाइम टू डिस्चार्ज. दैट इज व्हाई ये चार्ज डिस्चार्ज हो ही नहीं पाता है, इसलिए ओवरऑल सिग्नल अटेन्यूएट हो जाता है. सो बाय लिमिटिंग द अमाउंट ऑफ करंट ऑफ अ चार्जिंग कैपेसिटर वी कैन अटेन्यूएट अ स्पेसिफिक फ्रीक्वेंसी फ्रॉम एनी काइंड ऑफ सिस्टम. दिस इज हाउ सिंपल लो पास हाई पास फिल्टर वर्क. और सेम केस अगर हम इन दोनों की लोकेशन इंटरचेंज करते हैं, अगर मैं इस रेजिस्टेंस और कैपेसिटर्स की लोकेशंस को इंटरचेंज करता हूं, अगर मैं इसको सीरीज में लगा के इसको यहां लगाता हूं, सो दिस विल एक्ट एज अ हाई पास फिल्टर बिकॉज there's an alternating signal. You can see AC सिग्नल है तो कैपेसिटर के थ्रू ये शॉर्ट सर्किट जैसा पास हो जाएगा. जो भी लिमिटिंग होगी वो सिर्फ रेजिस्टेंस के थ्रू होगी. तो अगर मैं इन सच केस अगर मैं इस कैपेसिटर्स की वैल्यू को कम करता हूँ, बेसिकली इसको जल्दी चार्ज कराता हूँ, तो ये जल्दी कट ऑफ होगा. तो जितना कम मैं कैपेसिटर की वैल्यू लूंगा उतना जल्दी ये हाई फ्रीक्वेंसी को अटेन्यूएट करने लग जाएगा। तो अगर लेट्स से ये देखिए, जैसे अगर मैंने इसको कर दिया, अभी 10 किलो हर्ट्ज के सिग्नल को भी अटेन्यूएट कर रहा है व्हेन आई एम यूजिंग अ 900 पिकोफैराड कैपेसिटर। जैसे जैसे मैं कैपेसिटर की वैल्यू बढ़ाता हूँ, अगर मैं इसको 10 नैनोफैराड ले आता हूँ तो ये 10 किलो हर्ट्ज की फ्रीक्वेंसी को पास करता है। So by changing the value of capacitor in a high pass filter, you can vary the frequency response, and similarly in low pass filter you can vary the resistance and you can change the frequency response. Anyone has any doubt, anything right now? Filters खत्म हो गया है, इसके आगे filters में अभी कुछ नहीं है, सेम सिमिलर सर्किट्स ही है बस। उसके बाद कन्वर्टर्स में जाने वाले हैं। नो डाउट्स, ओके। सो बेसिकली वोल्टेज टू करंट कन्वर्टर हम पहले ही देख चुके हैं। ये सेम सर्किट है, वही वाला जो अभी हमने देखा था, जिसमें हमने करंट, आई एम सॉरी, दिस इज करंट टू वोल्टेज ना, हमने करंट टू वोल्टेज सोर्स देखा है, वोल्टेज टू करंट सोर्स नहीं देखा है। वोल्टेज टू करंट सोर्स चेंज करना इतना डिफिकल्ट नहीं होता है। बेसिकली एक रेजिस्टेंस के थ्रू हम उसको करंट में कन्वर्ट करते हैं। जैसे कि यहाँ पे आपको दिख रहा है, एक आर लोड जो है वो एज अ फीडबैक नेटवर्क के जैसा एक्ट कर रहा है। तो जो फीडबैक नेटवर्क है वो इसके करंट को वेरी करा रहा है। ओवरऑल वोल्टेज टू करंट एंड करंट टू वोल्टेज कन्वर्टर अभी हमारा इतना इन डेप्थ में नहीं आएगा, क्योंकि एम्बेडेड सिस्टम्स में हम इसे नहीं यूज करने वाले हैं। बाकी हमने तो भी इनका प्रैक्टिकल पर्पस अभी स्टार्टिंग ऑफ द एप्लीकेशन देखा था, हमने कैसे करंट को वोल्टेज में कन्वर्ट किया था। बफर हमने सबसे पहला टॉपिक देखा था कि हम कैसे बफर को एक्ट करते हैं। वन यूनिटी गेन ऑपरेशनल एम्पलीफायर इज बफर। बेसिकली जो भी इनपुट होगा वही आउटपुट होगा। एक बार रिकॉल करने के लिए मैं फिर से याद दिला रहा हूँ, जब हमने सबसे पहला एक्सपेरिमेंट किया था उसमें हमने 4.55 वोल्ट जनरेट किया था, पर ऑपरेशनल पर एक एक्स्ट्रा रेजिस्टेंस जो कि हमारा माइक्रो कंट्रोलर था लगाने के कारण उसका वोल्टेज ड्रॉप हो रहा था, बट बफर के कारण वो ड्रॉप कैंसल आउट हो जा रहा था। तो बफर एक्ट एज अ सिंपल आइसोलेशन सर्किट बिटवीन टू डिफरेंट सिग्नल्स। So this was quick and as fast as possible explanation of all the important topics जो हमें ज़रूरत थी इस टॉपिक्स को समझने के लिए, जो हमें कल एम्बेडेड सिस्टम्स और ऑर्डिनो के लिए ज़रूरत पड़ेगी। तो बिफोर डाउट सेशन, क्लियरिंग सेशन, मैं कुछ लिंक्स शेयर कर रहा हूँ, आप लोग प्लीज़ इन लिंक्स को डाउनलोड करके रखिएगा। फर्स्ट है ordino.cc। अगर आप ordino.cc में जाएंगे तो आपको ऑर्डिनो की वेबसाइट ओपन होगी। कल हम ऑर्डिनो पे पढ़ेंगे, ऑर्डिनो के बारे में समझेंगे, ऑर्डिनो की प्रोग्रामिंग सीखेंगे। सो आई थिंक सम ऑफ यू में ऑलरेडी बीन गुड विद ऑर्डिनो, या आप लोगों ने ऑर्डिनो किया होगा, बट आई विल स्टिल ट्राई कि मैं एकदम बेसिक से चालू करूंगा, क्योंकि बहुत सारे लोगों को ऑर्डिनो का नहीं आइडिया है ज़्यादा। आई विल ट्राई कि मैं जितना फैमिलियर आपको करा सकूं उतना कराऊंगा। तो विदाउट वेस्टिंग एनी टाइम कि कल हम सॉफ्टवेयर डाउनलोड करने में टाइम वेस्ट करें, एनीथिंग करें, व्हाट यू शुड डू इज दैट, अगर आपके पास लैपटॉप है या मैक है तो आप ordino.cc में जा सकते हैं। इसके अंदर अगर आप सॉफ्टवेयर्स में जाएंगे और सॉफ्टवेयर्स में क्लिक करेंगे तो आपको जो नया पेज ओपन होगा वहाँ पे आपको ये डाउनलोड का ऑप्शन हो जाएगा। आपका ऑर्डिनो आईडी डाउनलोड ऑप्शन यहाँ पे अवेलेबल है। अगर आप विंडोज में हैं तो आप सबसे पहला ऑप्शन सिलेक्ट करिएगा यहाँ पे, विंडोज वाला, विंडोज 7 एंड न्यूअर एडिशन। अगर आप लिनक्स में है तो आप लिनक्स सिलेक्ट कर सकते हैं, और अगर आप मैक पे है तो आप मैक्स का वर्जन सिलेक्ट कर सकते हैं। जस्ट फॉर एग्जांपल मैं विंडोज का अगर सिलेक्ट करता हूँ तो यहाँ पे वो सपोर्ट एंड एक्स्ट्रा चीज पूछेगा, तो यू कैन जस्ट क्लिक ऑन जस्ट डाउनलोड। तो इससे आपका डाउनलोड चालू हो जाएगा और आपका ऑर्डिनो सॉफ्टवेयर आपके सिस्टम में डाउनलोड हो जाएगा। इसको इंस्टॉलेशन आप चाहे तो आप कर सकते हैं, अदरवाइज मैं कल एक बार इंस्टॉलेशन भी समझाऊंगा ही, ताकि आप लोग मेरे साथ पैरेलल में इंस्टॉलेशन भी कर सकें। ऐसे इतना कुछ ज़्यादा डिफरेंस है नहीं, आपको बस इसे ओपन करना है और इंस्टॉल नाउ पे क्लिक कर देना है, तो आपका इंस्टॉलेशन चालू हो जाएगा। ये आप प्लीज़ डाउनलोड करके रखिए, मैं इसकी लिंक भी यहाँ पे आपको शेयर कर देता हूँ चैट में, तो आप चैट में आपको मिल जाएगा। टीना आपको उसके ऑफिशियल वेबसाइट में आपको मिल सकता है, टीना का ट्रायल वर्जन। अगर आप टीना सर्च करेंगे तो आप टीना के वेबसाइट में, टीआई सिमुलेशन के वेबसाइट में जाके यहाँ पे टीना डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं। डाउनलोड्स में आपको मिल जाएगा टीना इंग्लिश सॉफ्टवेयर। इसके लिंक भी मैं आपको शेयर कर देता हूँ। आज जो मैंने सर्किट सिमुलेशन किया था वो ये मैंने एवरी सर्किट में किया था। इट इज़ अ गुड सिमुलेशन सॉफ्टवेयर, बट इसमें उतने फीचर्स नहीं है जितना टीना में है। इट इज गुड, इट इज फास्ट एंड इट इज इजी टू एक्सेसिबल ओवर ब्राउजर। बट जो फीचर्स टीना में है, स्पेशली माइक्रो कंट्रोलर सिमुलेशन, आप उसमें 8051 खुद प्रोग्राम डाल के सिमुलेट कर सकते हैं, और ट्रांजिएंट एनालिसिस, स्टेडी स्टेट एनालिसिस, ये सब जो पॉसिबल वो इसमें पॉसिबल नहीं है। सो बेसिक टेस्टिंग के लिए ये सर्किट सही है, बट जब इन डेप्थ एनालिसिस करना होता है, जैसे अभी मैं आपको मैनुअली यहाँ पे वेरिएशंस करके बता रहा था कैपेसिटर्स ये सब में, इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल इन दिस सॉफ्टवेयर, इट इज पॉसिबल इन टीना 2। आप टीना पे वो सब कर सकते हैं। तो आज का सेशन इतना ही था।